Actually, Raul was the first creative I ever worked with here in LA. When I left the studio that I was working at, I got a phone call from an artist that I had met casually, and he connected me with Raul. We ended up being crew for 10 years, you know what I mean? And we still shoot projects together, and that relationship's still been there. So like all the videos, Dope Boys, Soldier Boy, like everything that I shot early on, and like Martians vs. Goblins, all that stuff. Drop it.
What's up, everybody? How you guys doing? So my name is Raul Hernandez. Oh, snap. Let me get over here. This shit's hilarious. What's up, guys? My name is Raul Hernandez. I'm a camera operator, cinematographer, gaffer, CEO now. I have my own company called Raw Visuals, LLC. Been shooting for about 20 years already. I started, like Matt said, I was one of his main operators from back in the day. But I started back in, I'm from El Paso, Texas, so I started back in high school. This is 1997.
Got it.
Yeah, back in 1997, I took the media class they have in high school. And back in the day, man, they had, there was not like today, where there's cameras everywhere. We had, what did we have back in the day? We had 3/4 inch tape. 3/4 inch tape. Of course, film was big, but we had 3/4 inch tape. So in class, man, my very first camera they gave me was it was like the deck with a 3/4 inch tape and then the camcorder. So the homie had to follow me with a 3/4 inch tape and be like, yo, hit record. And that was the camera. So that's where I started, man. I started with that, and then the VHS, and then we did like beta, a bunch of different formats, man. And yeah, so I started in high school. When I graduated high school, my teacher was like, I can get you a job at the TV stations. So I started working for the news. Because back in the day, there wasn't many people doing production, film production. You would see all the videos on TV and everything. But especially in my hometown, it was just like, it was more, you would learn more about production, news production. So there was Noticias, so I got a job at the news stations as a videographer. And it was cool, man. That was probably one of my best educations, working as a news guy, because you're just shooting every day. So imagine working, I did that for about 5 years. Imagine shooting every day, 5 stories a day. And then you would edit all that shit every day. You have to edit everything you shoot every day. So you're just doing this shit. So you get into that, you know what I mean? So by the time I came to Hollywood, man, and started working with Matt, it was easy for me, you know what I mean? Like operating the cameras, because it was like, damn, we have a rehearsal. We got a rehearsal. We have plenty. We have 2 hours to set up on one scene or whatever, you know what I mean? And that's unheard of, especially in the news days. So that's what gave, I guess that's what gave me the confidence coming out here to LA and working with Matt. But when I left El Paso, I did news for about 5 years. I worked in everything from news. I did a lot of the Cowboy games. More of the spring training, a little bit of everything. And that was cool, but it was like, all right, cool. I did this right after high school. Like, what can I do next? I got to set another goal for myself. And that's when I was like, all right, I always wanted to do music videos. I grew up watching MTV, BET, and all that. So I always wanted to watch music videos, and I was working music videos. But I didn't have no clue, man. There wasn't many people shooting back in the day. So I didn't know who to ask. I didn't know what to do. So what I did, I actually called MTV. I hit up MTV like, yo, are you guys hiring? And the lady was, for what? I'm like, for music videos. And she was like, what do you mean? I'm like, yeah, to shoot music videos. And she was like, she started laughing, but then she realized I was being serious. So she was like, oh, well, the way it's done, she kind of explained, broke it down to me. She was like, you have to go to film school, or like these videos come from all over the world. People just submit them here, we just play them. And I was clueless, man. I was like, oh, snap, all right, cool. So in El Paso, there was no film schools. There was nobody teaching film. People were teaching broadcast, and that was it. So I was like, oh, shit, so I started looking into film schools. I did my research, and I saw Brooks. That's where Matt went. He went to Brooks in Santa Barbara. But that shit was $75,000 for 3 years. I was like, fuck that, man. I've already been doing video for 5 years, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna go to a fucking school and learn from the bottom again, And then the cameras that we're using back in the day it was like I was already using better cameras, So I was like, fuck, man, I want to go to film school, but I don't have 75,000 to spend on film school. So I don't know how it was, because I went to the scout and whatever, they showed me the school. And then another film school hit me up from LA, called the LA Film School. And they're like, this is the 1-year program. It's 35 grand, I think it was. They're like, you'll graduate in 1 year, and you get certified. You don't get no bachelor's or anything, you just get certified. I'm like, all right, that's cool for me. Shit, I've been doing video for 5 years. I just want to, at that time, I wanted to learn how to shoot film. So I wanted to learn how to shoot film, and that's what I did. I came out here, learned how to shoot film, and it was dope. I got to shoot projects on film and everything. But then I graduated in 06. I came to film school in 05, graduated 06. And then that's when the transition was kind of changing, filming was kind of ending, everything was going digital. So it was like, fuck, man, I came out here to learn fucking film, and then nobody's shooting film anymore, so that kind of sucked. But at the same time, it was dope, man, because you had both experiences. You had film, you had, everything. So I was in a good place, man. I knew digital, I knew a little bit of everything. And then, so around 2006, I was just out here grinding, man. Like, even though I went to film school, they don't find you no job, man. They tell you straight out in the first day of school, we're not gonna get you a job, like you're on your own. It's all about what you put into this, it's networking, it's everything. So I was like, shit. So I just kind of I wanted to shoot music videos, so I started hitting people up, like artists here in LA, like, you guys want a free video, pretty much? And yeah, man, that was back in the MySpace days. So people my MySpace was hot, man. People were hitting me up left and right, like, oh, you're doing videos for $100? You're doing videos for $200? This was before I met Matt. And I started doing a gang of videos, man, for everybody, because I was hungry, man. I was like, shit, $100 is gonna put food on my table, you know what I mean? At this time, I was fucking eating ramen noodles, man. I lived with 3 other homies that went to film school with me, and we were hurting, man. Like, I maxed out 8 credit cards just to fucking pay my rent for that year and a half or whatever, credit cards, just to pay my rent, to buy food, everything, you know what I mean? So it was a grind, man. But we were shooting, man. We stayed fucking consistent. We were just shooting. And I was putting everything on my MySpace. So, and then I guess that's how Matt found me. He was about to graduate film school, and then that's what he was talking about. I did a video for this guy, Young D, and he's the one that connected me with Matt. He was like, yo, Matt's about to graduate, and he's looking for a crew. So that's what I was like, all right. And then Matt just hit me out of nowhere. He was like, yo, what's up, man? He had just shot something for Lil Wayne. He was like, yo, I'm looking for a crew. I'll hit you up when I'm in LA. I'm like, all right, cool. So, and yeah, man, like a couple weeks passed, right? And then he just came out of nowhere. He just hit me up like, yo, what's up? I'm in LA. You ready to shoot a video? I'm like, oh, shit. All right, cool. Let's do it. Yeah, right? And at this time, what I did, because we were grinding for a while, a couple of years, 06, 07, we were just grinding, shooting a bunch of videos, me and my boy, Mitchie. And we were just shooting nonstop. Probably by this time, I probably had already like 200 videos that I had already shot with my homie Mitchie and a couple other cats. What else was I gonna say? $100. Dude, like seriously, a lot of these videos I was doing, I was just going for the free food, because you know how they feed you on set. I'm like, man, I haven't ate, man, I just want to go for it to eat. I'll shoot a video for you, fucking, you know what I mean? And at this time, I mean, my lighting sucked, man. Like, you know what I mean? From film school, you learn more cinematic, not cinematic, more for like films and shit. You know, you don't really learn music video lighting. They didn't teach us anything about music video. So we were kind of just experimenting, like shit that we saw on MTV. I'm like, oh, I kind of want to replicate that. Throw some lights in the bag, some fucking fog, you know what I mean? And that's kind of how we build our style. And then, so yeah, man, I did a bunch of videos. Matt hit me up. At this time, I was already working at a rental house called Indie Rentals. They were back in Hollywood. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was Indie Rentals. And then they started off small. They started off with a couple DSLRs, and then they like in 07, 08, they bought the Reds. That's when Red just came out. And they ordered 15 Reds. No one knew about these cameras. No one wanted to test it out. Everybody was afraid of Red. And this dude from Indie Rentals, he ordered 15 of them. It was one of the first rental houses in Hollywood to have them. And so we got to play with them right away. And at this time, that's when Matt hit me up, like, yo, man, I got this video. You have a camera? You have some lights? I'm like, hell yeah, let's go. And I was already in Hollywood. He's like, yeah, the studio's right here in Hollywood. Come through, bring one of your homies, bring some crew, bring some lights. So I'm like, all right, we didn't know who the hell we're shooting, man. I grabbed my boy Dom, like, yo, let's go shoot. And we show up to the studio, and Snoop is just there sitting on the couch smoking a blunt. I'm like, oh shit, we about to shoot for Snoop. And yeah, man, we just shot right there in a couple hours with a little light kit, huh? What do we have, the Panasonic HVX or some shit? It was crazy. Let me get some water.
out. It never came out.
It finally came out, no?
Well, yeah, like they put like it was for Terrace Martin and DJ Quick, Snoop Dogg, and it was the first job that I had done with when I started working with Ski, and.
That was the first one?
Yeah, that was the first one we ever did because that was the first time we ever met. I literally called him like as I was already in there, like like I had my DVX and I'm like, well, I have no lights, I have no nothing, and then they're like, yeah, Snoop's coming. It's like this is Snoop's studio. I'm like, what? And we had talked on a three-way call with this other artist, and he kind of just mentioned he had some stuff, and it was kind of like okay, like very casual, like yeah, let's work, but like not like let's work like. Hey yo, can you come to the studio right now? You know, but I hit them and like we rocked. Like it was.
Yeah, we came through, man. I showed up with with me and my boy Dom, and we had like 3 cameras, a light kit, and everything. We were like, we're ready to go, man. Let's go. Whoever it is, let's shoot it.
And yeah, we didn't know what we were doing.
And we just shot like multiple angles. One dude was getting a low angle, one dude was getting the wide, and we just knocked it out. The whole video like in 2 hours.
What was the name of that song? Bounce Rock.
Bounce Rock Skate or some shit.
Yeah.
So you already had the lighting there? Oh, because I was working at the rental house. Yeah, and that rental house, Indie Rentals, had everything, lights, fucking steady cams and shit. And this is like very first video that we did.
Funny story from that one though is like we were at this house, we had no budget, and like Ski pulled some favors. They obviously pulled their favors as far as like with their hands and their resources. But I don't know where we got the girls from. I mean, I don't know.
We just put out a call, like they said something like, music videos going down, and a bunch of girls showed up.
One of the girls happened to bring baby lotion, or somehow the baby lotion got into like an intern's hand, and so next thing I know, my dad, because I brought my dad, invited my dad, and my dad's like, yo, who's this? Like, what is that? And I look over, and he's like greasing them all up, right? and they're all lined up. No, that's not even the funny part. It's not even the funny part. So they're all lined up, right? They get all greased up, all these girls, right? And then they go sit on the couches in this like mansion. They were imported couches. They're leaning on the walls. They had just painted the walls with like some flakes from Italy, like all this stuff. And and the house was a favor from like one of the owners of we had like Ski TV was like a section of a company at that time, and that actually ended up like he ended up pulling out of the company, and we had an office at the time, but then we didn't have an office like 2 days later, you know, because of this video. So it's never grease them up, like just tell them do not grease. Like I don't know what was going on, but we didn't know what we were doing. Like we had like 3 lights. You know?
We were like shit.
Oh yeah, we had like 18 cameras. You know what I mean? We had a little what was the little jib?
Oh yeah, we had a small jib.
But and like, no looks, no nothing. You know what I mean? And the reason this video never came out was because Corrupt had the last verse, but he got so drunk he couldn't remember his lyrics.
Yeah.
So then we came back to shoot another day. That was Ben Baller's first cameo. Like Ben Baller was nobody at the time. You know what I mean? Yeah, like I've known Ben for that long. He was in a bunch of videos with us, but Corrupt couldn't remember his part. And so like the next day we showed up and he got drunk again and he couldn't remember his part. And so that's why it cuts off black right there.
His verse.
And it never came out. You know what I mean? It never came out. But that was the
beginning though, man. Like that. From there, right away, like it just started, man. It picked up. Like we were doing 2-3 videos a week.
Yeah, like the next one that we did, and this one I kind of want to show is like where our evolution, or kind of like, I think for us, our style started, and they definitely, the crew that you pick early on is definitely gonna have a huge influence on like your style, or at least or what your capabilities are. And for me, I adapted it into my style. I don't know, where did you get the backlight idea? Like,
I mean, we were just experimenting, remember?
Yeah,
we were just trying out different shit.
I remember I wanted to get a lens flare. Like, I wanted to get a lens flare for this next video that we did, and it was like, I don't remember, the budget was nothing either. It was for Cassius, he was Eminem's artist at the time. But like this hard backlight became like a very signature thing of mine, as well as like these film grains that I did in this. And that just came from us like shooting, like, we didn't show up like, oh man, we can't do this shoot. Like we just showed up like,
whatever we got, we're gonna make it happen.
Like, yo, we're gonna make it work. Like, and like that attitude though went so far though. It went so far, you know.
And then once I started working with Matt, man, like it was crazy. Just the way he edits and everything, how he puts everything together. It was like, man, I can just shoot some crazy shit, and he's gonna just make it look dope. You know what I mean? So that kind of just built my confidence, and I just started fucking like during when I was filming during the hook or whatever. I wouldn't just stay on the artist, you know. I would fucking zoom in, B-roll. get B-roll, get hands, get feet.
So then we learned to get two for ones, and that's kind of a big thing that helped out.
He started using everything, and I'm like, oh shit, so I'm gonna do even more.
And then shooting, I learned to shoot in slow motion so that I could use these like B-roll moments of maybe a foot or a shot of a girl, throwing her hair back or whatever, like wherever I wanted to. If I got it in regular speed, 24 frames, it was gonna be like a 2-second shot, and like realistically, where do you put that? You know what I mean? Like, And so it was tough. So then we started shooting everything in slow motion. Then I learned about time ramps just because I was, just by proxy, by having everything in slow motion, I was like, oh, what if I cut it here and then I go to slow motion? And that's where the time ramp came from. Like literally just trying it, like just by accident. It wasn't like there was no set like design of that, you know? And like, so this was the next one that we did. And I love this video. Like,
yeah, we're getting a little bit better with the camera lighting and the movements.
yeah, so I got the shake from him. Like every time he threw on the camera, it all came from him.
What up now? Kino and Vegas. Okay. Sonny Capone. King Man.
So this is kind of where we started like developing our style. Like, you know, if you see this is where it started with the lens flare, the film grain, the backlights, the camera shaking. That's where it all started. Because we were, in that video, that's where it started. Because we were, one of the scenes, that one where you're sitting down, I was just sitting there with the camera and I was getting bored, man. Like, what am I doing? Like, you know, like I'm like doing these little pans and it was boring. I'm like, I gotta add something to it, you know what I mean? So that's where that little shake, I did. Yeah, before that, I did a PA on a big budget video for Sierra or some shit, and that was on film. And I saw the DP do like this crazy whip, and it came back, and that just stuck with me. I'm like, oh shit, that was dope.
And then I saw it, I was like, oh shit, that's dope.
Yeah, so when I did that on the video, I just threw it in there. I was like, let me see what it says. And he was like, do that again. So I started playing with it. I'm like, started doing my shit, yeah. And he's liked it, and that became like our style, you know what I mean? That became our style. I just started, like, everything I would shake it.
Well, I did split screen before this. Yeah, and that's what got me on. That's what got me my opportunity. And that was like, that was, I'll talk about that in 1 second. But yeah, I started doing split screen before that. But I became a master of like my craft, my tool in college because like I wanted to be an editor. That's all I was, you know? So like by the time we got here, like anything he could give me, and like what he was giving me was fire. Like, I mean, if you think about like this compared to like a student film, which I'll show you, like the level of difference of in creativity and just like, oh shit, it's a real artist. Like it's not just like your homie, you know what I mean? Like I don't know, it kind of just like we just built off each other's energy, you know what I mean? And like
yeah, we were just having fun, experimenting.
Like that, if you could find even just one person like that, like be open to that sort of experience, you know? Because and then after this, like you notice like this is relatively similar to the YBN video. Like I mean, as far as like shooting style, I mean this is almost 11 years ago. So,
yeah.
And this was shot on, this is
Panasonic HVX.
Yeah, so we established like, kind of like, at least, we established what we could do for cheap, like guaranteed. I know that for sure because we did this video for nothing, you know what I mean? But we knew, I felt confident that I could do this any given day for nothing if I had to. Not that I would want to, but I'm saying I felt confident in being able to shoot this style. So if you look at Dope Boys, it's a relatively similar vibe as this. We had a lot more tools. We had,
better cameras, and
360 track dolly, and we had 2 cameras, and you know what I mean. We had a little bit more.
Yeah, we had
stuff,
2 reds. Yeah.
But overall, aesthetically, I mean, it doesn't look too far apart. But what I do want to show though is that our ability of range, because this was actually our first. Before we did Dope Boys, we did that video first, and then we did this video. This was actually our first job with Interscope. And like, we just wanted to fuck with lights.
Yeah, here, man, we actually got a little budget, and he's like, yo, let's get the reds. I'm like, oh shit,
That's
all right,
the first one,
let's
yeah.
go.
This is like, this was before like anything really like popped off.
Right? I don't take my chain off on the mic, it's my security piece. It gives me security. I'm waiting for the ghetto to secure me. I just put away 30% for my taxes, 20 for the feds, the rest under my mattress. I gave my wallet a Botox injection. I'm bunch of road boys in your section. I'm trying to get my tax bracket and erection. A 70s entity girl.
What do we use for the lens? We use the swing shifts.
Swing shifts, yeah.
Yeah. Do they still use those anymore?
No one really uses them anymore.
Yeah, but that was kind of like the way that you would kind of create, I guess, any sort of like glass in front of the lens at that time. And like that was our first time really like working with any sort of lighting really like on that sort of, definitely like on any sort of level. You know what I mean? And then I color corrected this in Magic Bullet. It was edited in Final Cut 7. And the actual offline size is like 1024 by 570 or something like that. Because back then you had to literally bring Red 1 right into Final Cut Pro, and you couldn't edit the 2K files because it would like mess your computer up. So I edited in the 1K files. And that 1K files at that particular time were that dimension. But it did well for us, and it proved to Interscope that like we could back up what we said, you know. And for a $10,000 video, like it's.
Yeah.
I look at it now like, okay, you know what I mean?
Still clean.
Yeah, still clean, still raw.
good.
You know what I mean? I mean, like, it might just be our perspective, but that was the first time I had ever worked with a like a jib.
Yeah,
dolly,
jib,
I mean,
crane.
an actual crane of any sort. On that level, like it was way bigger than I was. It wasn't like, okay, yeah, bring it down, you know?
And the remote hit too, because we had used a crane before, but it was like, you know, the camera just stuck, and you can't tilt it or pan it or anything. And this one we actually had a remote hit, so we got to play with it and shit. It was like,
but we went in stages. Like we never thought when we were using the head that was, you know, the non-remote head. Like we weren't thinking like, oh man, this film sucks because we didn't have a remote head. Like
we made it happen. I would get up on the ladder and just kind of operate from the
Yo,
from
this
the
guy's
top.
been on the ground. I look at it. Sometimes he'd be on shots and he's on the ground dancing and like he's getting the lens flare and pulling focus and stuff. No, I mean on his back. Like he'd be like, you know, like how is he getting these shots? You know what I mean? But like. That sort of like energy of like, I really do not care what we have. Like we knew we were always gonna rock and roll. Like it didn't matter what.
Yeah, like you said, the team was very important, man. Like the team that we had, like 4 of the guys from the crew were my roommates, and then some of them were his roommates. So we all like kind of like lived together.
Mike came into the crew, and so like it was just, you know, it was like
family,
we're all the same age. We all had like we just didn't have any.
Kind of older, but I'm a little older.
Yeah, we always called him Theo. Like he was our uncle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and so now, man, we've been grinding for a while, and that's how our style came about.
Yep.
We just kind of, you know, just lens flares, fast editing. I would do a lot of camera shakes, and then
his camera shakes came from here, and then this one we actually got to play with some Kino flow. This kind of when I did a little bit of split screens, I brought it back in. At least from my standpoint, creatively, I took a different approach on every video on every artist. If you notice, like none of them
trying to give it a different look.
None of them really like blend or are the same. You know, I still have my style, but then you look at a video like this, and I mean, even this dimension is 1024 by 512. I mean, that was the deliverable for Interscope.
Boy, hop up out the bed, turn my swag on, took a look in the mirror, said what's up, yeah, I'm getting money, oh, I hopped up out the bed, turn my swag on.
We shot all this with a 10 millimeters?
Yeah, this is when we had actually budgeted a higher Steadicam up.
And this guy went on to
the guy that we hired, his name is Ari Robbins, and he did like La La Land and a bunch of other movies.
Yeah,
but that was our main guy, man, back in the day.
Yeah,
like,
we used him for about 5 years.
He's a beast.
And then like he was solid. Like even when he was starting to shoot his features, he would still rock and roll with us like as long as he could. And then obviously, you know, you get to a point where you really can't, you know, mess around with little budgets like that. But yo, so like I said, this video was #1 video for like a week and a half, 2 weeks before Interscope even knew it was out. Like before they even knew that Interscope had shot a video. The video commissioner was like, we need to shoot a video for this. Somehow they found out that they had already shot one. And I remember Ski got a call and was like, it wasn't very happy because, you know, it's never a good idea to go around the commissioners. but we didn't know that. I didn't know anything about video commissioners at the time. I had no knowledge of anything.
Yeah, we had no knowledge of, not even budgets. Like we were doing these videos for low, man, and even the older guys were kind of getting mad at us and shit. Like, what are you guys doing, man? You guys are messing up the game.
Yeah, we didn't know. We didn't understand that. Like, yo, the budget was supposed to be $100 grand. We didn't know. We just thought like someone gave us 10 grand, and we were like,
shit, we're fresh out of film school, man. I'm over here even writing minutas, man. I'm like,
exactly.
shit, I'll take fucking $500.
He went from like being on set to try to get some dinner, you know what I mean, to 10 grand. Yeah. To not only eat but then be creative at the same time, you know what I mean? It's like we didn't know any different, you know. And so I say this a lot to like people who are like, well, aren't you mad about that guy who like did the video for 500? I'm like, no, because that might be the only opportunity he has or she has. Like, I can't knock him because I was right there.
Yeah.
And if I knock him, I'm just that guy who was mad at me. When I looked at that guy like, yo, can I ask you a couple questions, dude? And they're like, fuck you, like, you know. But I didn't know. And I don't think the person knows any different other than that, you know what I mean? So
yeah, and that's why I guess that's why we're here. You know, we're trying to help you guys out. Like we didn't really have much help or anybody to turn to when we were starting up. We had zero.
We had each other.
Yeah, and we kind of just made it happen. We're like, oh, look at this video. They try to replicate that look or some shit, but we had no help.
Yeah.
You guys explain the video commissioner, like who's that? What do they do? Like,
yeah, I can. Okay. So like a video commissioner is going to be somebody at the record label that's job is mainly to the the desired records, singles, things like that, maybe even not singles, are going to go through this particular person to get fed to production companies to get shot, to get completed. I mean, their job is basically the video producer, you know what I mean? They're kind of above the production company. So what they do is they get a song like this, and Soulja Boy, Turn My Swag On. Normally they're going to send it out to probably a couple of their like relationship directors. You know, if the budget's lower, then they may try some new people. You know what I mean? A lot of these are going to be built off relationships, and as you move up the ladder, a lot of things are going to be built off like kickbacks sometimes. Like, hey, I'm going to, you know, whatever the case may be, you find ways to kind of make it beneficial for both parties, and you'll see that a lot. It might not be in your value system to do that, but it's definitely something that gets done. So you can't get mad if, like, I learned not to get mad anymore because I used to get mad, you know, because like I would write 10 to 12 treatments a month. And like it takes so much time from us, and we'd get maybe one of them, you know. But so the video commissioner's there. They get assigned 5 or 6 artists each. Now I think it's even more because at the time back then, video commissioners were like plentiful. It was like everywhere, you know what I mean? And they're there to be like the executive of the video. So like Jimmy Iovine assigns Raul to go shoot these videos. He doesn't shoot them, but he hires somebody to go get them done. And sees it all the way through editing. So they'll send you out a song, would say, hey, the budget's 20 grand. That's where you get your solicitations from, is from the video commissioners. And so they're gonna send you out a song and say, it's 20 grand. This is Soulja Boy, Turn My Swag On. We wanna shoot in Atlanta, and you know, April 1st. Can you write me a treatment and let us know? But when they do that, you gotta remember, like, you're probably getting it sent out to like 100 different directors. So you have to be able to manage, like, okay, is this like worth it that much? So when I was signed to my agency, what I would do is I would ask right away how many people are writing on it. And so she would always make sure to like only send me things that were directly for me. Even if it was like, yo, we wanted Matt to write, but we're gonna send it to like 15 more people, at least she would figure out, one, that they wanted me to write on it specifically, because sometimes if you get with an agency, they'll give it to like Raul, but Raul will have like 20 other directors, and he'll give it to all 20. There's no specific person in mind. Sometimes the commissioner passes it on to your agent. So like my agent was very like, she helped me manage my time to be able to be like, okay, like this is beneficial, or if I really like the song. So that's kind of what they're there to do. And they're gonna come on set with you. They're gonna sit right by the monitor. You know what I mean? They're gonna talk to your DP. You know, they're gonna be there at the fitting. They're gonna be there at the casting. I mean, they're kind of like your boss, essentially. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like your label, like the label eyes. You know. Sometimes they're amazing to work with, and they're super cool, and they let you kind of do your thing. Other times they want to be directors, and they're going to be like all up in the idea and like really kind of like make your life.
Right, they want to take charge of the video.
Yeah, sometimes they will, you know what I mean? So it all just depends. And it all just depends, like I said, on the experience that you're giving them, the expectations that you're setting for yourself, you know what I mean? And like the boundaries that you're setting for yourself. Yeah, that's so important, not only as us, like in our relationships, in our personal lives, do we cut off editing at 7 o'clock every night? Is that going to be more beneficial for me? Something I need to learn because I edit till 7 in the morning every night. Like it just, you know, but boundaries within them too, and expectations, because those are the people that you need to say, hey, it's only this much money, I can only give you this. You know, but video commissioners are not as popular as they were.
Not really. And
not necessarily like, I would advise if you want to do music videos, the thing you should do is absolutely research video commissioners at every main record label and indie labels, and cold email them, cold call them, like whatever. Like what can they do? Say no? You know what I mean? Most of them are going to move on to the other jobs anyways, and like commissioner's not going to stay there forever. But it's worth a shot, you know what I mean? Because they might actually really like some stuff. Like the guy who Mike was talking about, the behind-the-scenes guy, who got himself a $90,000 video after doing a couple of behind-the-scenes. I'm sure it was just by emailing and staying in contact with that person, you know. And I gave my man over here some advice. He did a job, and I asked, like, did you stay in contact with that commissioner? Did you make it an effort to do that? And I know for me, connections and like staying in contact with people wasn't a big priority on my list at all. Because I was like, yo, I need to be working. If I'm working, I'm moving. If I'm talking, I'm talking. You know, like it didn't make any sense to me. But in hindsight, that was one thing that I look back that I wish I could put some more energy into, was like building those relationships. Because I had Jimmy Iovine's cell phone number. I had a lot of relationships that I I didn't care to like nurture, and who knows what those could have led to. That's here or like there, but what I'm saying is you guys have the opportunity now to be wherever you're at to make sure that whatever connections you do have to just keep up with those. And it's as simple as just like a.
Especially now with social media, you can DM people. Like, you'd be surprised people
Just hey, how's it
reply
going?
right away. And
Keep
shit.
me in
Like,
mind for any job.
I hit up
what I mean?
everybody. I see a company, somebody I want to do a commercial for. I DM everybody, and I'm like, this is what I've done recently. And
See, our marketing game at the time was on another level because MySpace was out. I had MySpace. My MySpace was lit.
Pimped out,
You had these little HTML codes.
You could buy the
and I literally
little
had like
thing,
covers.
the-
I had covers at my video, and people just weren't. It's not like the way it is now. Like, I remember I was in film school and they like laughed at me because they're like, you don't need to have all this stuff. Like, it's not the way it's supposed to be. Blah blah blah. Because like no one understood that. You shouldn't even have a website. Like. Go bring coffee and stuff, which I was totally cool with. Like, I actually like that level of, that sort of working as well. But yeah, we were all about social media. Then I got with ski, and like that's what we did. We
had a whole team just for social media.
We were a marketing company, you know what I mean? And we would run people's Twitters all the way to like, we would shoot music videos. The only reason Ski shot these videos, the only reason we shot these videos at Ski TV was to be able to premiere them because Vivo wasn't out. We were the premier YouTube. We were the first YouTube to ever do this shit. So we premiered these. We would take these views and say, okay, we have 300,000 million views. Chrysler, let us shoot some digital content for you. They're like, what's digital content? We're like, we'll make 5, 30, or to a minute long little mini documentary series or whatever. And they just couldn't see it, but they slowly came around. We shot a bunch of that content, and that's kind of, we definitely were the pioneers behind a lot of that sort of like movement. Now it's like everywhere, everybody does it, Vice and like whatever, but back then, we were
just creating.
We were
just
cool.
creating, and it was dope having a marketing team because they were just putting it everywhere. You know what I mean? Like now, I have to, especially as I have my own company, I have to do everything. I have to go on IG and both of my pages on Facebook. But before,
and Raul's been able to migrate into, not the freelance world, but he's been able to put his his dad hat on, his man hat on, and be able to find a way to make money while he's not working, and that's like I'm saying, I'm just trying to.
Yeah, like I left LA 6 years ago.
Yeah, he still comes back,
Yeah, I'm out here every month though. But I left 6 years ago, but it was tough. I didn't want to leave, man. But I got married and I had kids, so that took me back home to Texas. And I didn't want to leave, man. When I left, it was so hard for me to get clients. I thought, shit, I've been working with Alonzo for 10 years, man. I can easily get clients. Hell no, I went back home and I showed them my work and they were like, yeah, that's cool, but what have you done here? I was like, fuck. So I had to start all over from the bottom, man.
A whole new
It's a whole new market. It's a small
Even if he's
town.
worth 10 grand, he wasn't going to get 10 grand.
Hell no, man. And they don't even have the budgets to start with.
What's 10 grand?
So it's I started from the bottom, $500 videos to.
I feel so bad.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it, man.
Give Raul a round of applause.